Now we're going to go over the next group of switch accessible activities. Just like with our first group of cause and effect activities, you do not need to go into the iPad settings to turn on switch access. All you have to do is make sure that your Bluetooth switch is turned on, and then you're ready to go. These activities build on to the skills learned in cause and effect in different ways. Some of them teach additional switch access skills, and others provide an academic component such as focusing on numeracy or literacy. I'm going to briefly go over some of the different activities so that you'll have a good idea of how to implement them with your student. The first activities are called counting songs, and really there are 10 songs and 10 activities at 2 different levels within each of these, so there's a lot of material here. Once you select songs or activities, you'll need to go to options, and this is where you're going to choose your access method, whether it's touch, 1, or 2 switches. I haven't found a setting where it makes a difference whether you choose 1 or 2 switches. You've got your scan color, song mode, and whether you're going to count to 3 or 5. Once everything is how you like it, hit OK and choose your activity.
5.
Another activity is called bumper cars, and this one is great for socialization. Even though you are required to use 2 switches, each person only uses 1. You're a different player and you take turns hitting each other. So you could play this game with your student or have your students play against each other. Another game is called Treasure Island, and this one works on different switch skills depending on how you set it up. So if you go to switch settings, first of all, they have auditory scanning, and what that means is as the square moves around the treasure map, it will describe what's inside the square, whether it's a forest or a lake or a haunted forest sometimes. If you click Enable Switch, you can do 1 or 2 switches. If you choose 1, it's going to automatically scan based on the speed you select here through the different squares of the map, and then you hit the switch to select which one. So this would work more on timing skills. If you do 2 switches, you use 1 switch to move around the map and then the other one to select. So that works on move and select skills.
Forest, 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 black swamp, rope bridge.
Pieces of 8, pieces of 8.
Another great activity for socialization is the one called Shh. And again, this is a 2-switch game. However, since each person is using 1 switch, you can still play it even if your student hasn't moved up to 2 switch skills yet. Make sure you've enabled switches and hit play. One person will be making a racket and waking up the grumpy old man in the bed. The other person will be the grumpy old man shushing them. Both Custard Splodger and Space Shooter work on switch timing skills. Custard Splodger is essentially an errorless activity. If you go to settings and enable switch, if you choose 1 switch, it's just for 1 student. If you choose 2, you could play with them or have 2 students playing together. Basically, the container fills up with a different color paint and you hit the switch to spray the paint everywhere and make a mess. If you keep hitting the switch, it doesn't have time to refill and it doesn't make as big of a mess. Regardless, it's always kind of gross. Space Shooter is more difficult. It's more like a traditional arcade game where you're trying to shoot the aliens. Just make sure you enable switch, hit play, and definitely start with easy. So you're waiting until the circle gets over the alien, And on easy, it pauses for you so that you can get the alien. On the higher levels, it goes faster and it certainly doesn't pause for you. The next 3 are Judy, Lynn activities. And these are Switch accessible games that have been around for a very long time. So for the turn-taking game, you would just need to choose which group of activities you'd want to go to. It doesn't really matter other than if it's something that the student is interested in or if it's a topic that you're covering in class. And then once there, you would decide if you were using touch or switches and how many turns per activity. And that's going to be how many puzzle pieces there are. And then which ones you want to do. So you would just go over to the right hand side and select or deselect the ones that you're not interested in and hit start. It puts an arrow to which person is supposed to hit their switch. So this is really great with turn taking. If it's not your turn, this game is not going to let you play. Now, I'm going to hit the wrong one right now. Now I don't even have the option. And now the option is back again. The next one is called Match It, and this is another match to sample type of game. One switch will move the sample across the screen and the second one will select. Good job! Finally, we have a selection of Switch accessible books that come with their own activities. So these activities, you start with reading the book and then you go through different lessons about the book that you just read.
Learn, explore, sing, read Dirty Duds by Patty King DeBon. Yippee! Molly, Molly, in the mud. Look at those dirty duds. Dirty pants. Wishy-washy, wishy-washy, wash, wash, wash.